Cowboy football looks to continue their winning streak.
Cowgirl soccer looks to get back on track with Bedlam.
And a growing community is making its mark at OSU.
All this and more coming up on the Poke Report. Hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Poke Report, your home for all things OSU athletics. I'm Griff McClellan.
And I'm Toni Wetmore, and we are here outside Gallagher-Iba Arena, where in just 12 days, Coach Boynton and the Cowboys will take on the Oklahoma Baptist Bison.
That's right, Toni. There is a lot to be excited about at GIA this season, not just basketball, but with wrestling as well. I can't wait to see what both these teams have in store this season.
No, absolutely, but don't get too excited about basketball yet. We have a team that is tied for third in the Big 12, and that's football.
Of course it is, and it feels good to finally start winning again.
Absolutely. Jonna Orange has the recap of this past win.
Coach Mike Gundy let Ollie Gordon cook in last weekend's matchup against Kansas. Gordon started the game with a big run ending at the 30-yard line in Kansas territory. He receives a pass from quarterback Alan Bowman and takes it 17 yards for the first touchdown of the game. Working its way down the field, OSU receiver Brennan Presley will score the second touchdown of the game, giving the Cowboys a 14-0 lead in the first quarter. The Jayhawks responded with a big play by quarterback Jason Bean. He goes deep for 75 yards to Trevor Wilson for a touchdown. During the field goal attempt, Kansas kicker Seth Keller earned Kansas a false start call. The Cowboys blocked the second attempt kick, leaving it ahead 17-13. With almost 3 minutes left, Gordon runs up the middle for a touchdown, 24-19 Cowboys. In the first half alone, both teams had almost 700 yards combined, which is the most in a Big 12 game this season. During halftime, former OSU running back Terry Miller was in Boone Pickens Stadium to be the fourth person inducted into the Ring of Honor. Miller's name sits next to Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas, and Bob Fenimore. Kansas leads by 1 to begin the second half of the game and did not let up. Kansas quarterback went yard on a long pass to Quentin Skinner for his second touchdown of the game. Kansas leads 32-24. Jayhawks led the Cowboys down the field, but the Cowboys defense responded with an interception in the end zone by Kendall Daniels to close out the third quarter. In the fourth, with 2 minutes left in the quarter, the Cowboys get the lead they need with a 6-yard touchdown from Brennan Presley. The Cowboys lead the game by a touchdown with 15 seconds left in the quarter. The Cowboys sealed the deal and defended its home turf with a sack by Nick Martin to end the game 39-32. Coach Mike Gundy emphasizes on Ollie Gordon's career-high performance and how far he's come since last year.
He's getting emotionally driven, but he's not out of control. Last year, he used to get emotionally driven. He was out of control. You have to play with energy and enthusiasm, but if you play out of control, you're not helping anybody because you can't think.
Gordon has used his emotions as fuel and stepped up as a leader on the team.
Do you feel like you've made that maturity step there?
I feel like being here and, actually stepping up to be one of the leaders on the team, I have made that maturity step, yes, sir.
The Cowboys have an away game against West Virginia tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. For the Poke Report, I'm Jonna Orange.
Thanks, Jonna. It's always great seeing a Cowboy win, especially in Boone Pickens Stadium.
That's right, Toni, but this weekend the Cowboys will travel on the road to the mountains in Morgantown, West Virginia to take on the Mountaineers. Let's real quick go to Tatum Shelton, who has more history regarding this matchup.
As the Cowboys prepare to hit the road to Morgantown, let's take a look back at some of the history between West Virginia and Oklahoma State. OSU has only faced off against West Virginia 14 times. The first game was played in 1928 at West Virginia, and OSU lost that game 32-6. In 1929, OSU played West Virginia on homecoming and lost 9-6. The biggest game played between the two is the 1987 John Hancock Sun Bowl game.
The game was close. West Virginia actually came back on Oklahoma State in the game and took the lead late. Oklahoma State ended up getting a touchdown drive that finished with I believe it was a touchdown pass to the tight end that Mike threw.
The Cowboys and the Mountaineers had to battle the weather during this game. Melvin Gilliam was a cornerback for the Cowboys and a key player to their success.
I remember the weather. That's the main thing, because Every day we were there, it was sunny and nice. And then game day, it snowed. They said it hadn't snowed there probably in about 10 years. And it's just so happened to snow on the day we were playing the Sun Bowl.
Despite the weather, the Cowboys defeated the Mountaineers 35-36 and became Sun Bowl champions. West Virginia did not join the Big 12 until 2012. Last season, the Cowboys fell short to the Mountaineers.
Last year, they came in. It was an Oklahoma State team that was pretty beat up. It was played in a dry, or not a driving rain, but a steady rain all afternoon. And West Virginia came out with the win. They deserved it.
As the Cowboys head on down to Morgantown, they're hoping to bring home a Cowboy win. For the Poke Report, I'm Tatum Shelton.
Thank you, Tatum. The Cowboys have been crushing it on the field recently. Meanwhile, Toni, Cowboys have also been thriving off the field, especially with NIL.
Absolutely. With NIL, there are so many opportunities for student athletes to get involved on and off the field. Nick Friesen has more on that story.
Two things run college football: the NIL and the transfer portal. And even NIL runs the transfer portal. Since it was approved, Oklahoma State has been at the forefront of NIL opportunities for students. Coaches all across the country are trying to get accustomed to that new lifestyle in college football. OSU head coach Mike Gundy says he is still learning how to deal with the complex system and the rules of NIL.
So NIL is a challenge every day for all of us because we're still learning. We're just getting IRS restrictions and what they can and can't, what they will and won't allow us to do from a donation standpoint on a 503. We think that's clarified, but it's still up for grabs.
One of the many NIL collectives Oklahoma State has partnered with is Pokes with a Purpose. The main goal for Pokes with a Purpose is to help establish NIL opportunities for all OSU athletes. In the 2022-23 academic calendar year, Pokes with a Purpose raised over $3 million. The goal for this year will be to raise over $5 million in the 2023-24 academic calendar year. Gundy says Pokes with a Purpose has been amazing to not only Cowboy football, but to OSU athletics as well.
NIL, and they've been unbelievable for us in a lot of different ways because they're volunteering their time to do it. And what they're doing, to answer your question, is they're bringing in outside sources of the people that have been given money here for years and years and years and years for facilities and the baseball field and Karsten Creek's redoing its golf course.
While it is mostly outside resources that help with the NIL, coaches are still a part of the conversation. Gundy says he's doing his part because it's what OSU has to do in the new age of college football.
I was on a phone. I'm very seldom do I go through a day and not have a phone call about NIL. I just got finished with one about 15 minutes ago. And I'm doing just a little other than supporting it and wanting it and then answering questions for the people that are trying to strategically make it better because whether we like it or not, it's here to stay.
Everyone is still trying to figure out NIL these days. For the Poke Report, I'm Nick Friesen.
Thanks, Nick. NIL is definitely complicated, but super helpful. And, Griff, football players aren't the only ones that benefit from NIL. A lot of athletes from different sports do as well.
Indeed. And speaking of other sports, Cowgirl soccer looks to end its 5-game losing streak. Kendall McGee has details.
It hasn't been the easiest road for the Cowgirls, yet they march on. The Oklahoma State Cowgirls have recently lost its last 4 games, scoring no goals in each of them. And after coming off a loss against BYU, the soccer team looked for a victory against Texas Tech Sunday. In the first half, the Cowgirls had a 4-3-2-1 defensive formation, and it worked out well as Trinity Piccolo had 2 blocks early. However, the Cowgirls had many chances to score, but just couldn't get the ball in the goal. Midfielder Excara Pineda had an opportunity but was blocked by Texas Tech's goalkeeper Madison White. Not too long after, Pineda also had another opportunity, but that was also blocked by White. After a long back and forth, Texas Tech Ashley Williams cracked open the defense and hit a goal against the Cowgirls. In the second quarter, OSU's goalkeeper Gordon Grace kept Texas Tech's offense from any more goals with her defensive performance. Grace had 3 back-to-back blocks against Texas Tech's attempts. Though, after a hard-fought battle, the Cowgirls lost against Texas Tech 0-1 and extended its losing streak. Despite the loss, Oklahoma State soccer head coach Colin Carmichael still believes in his team and encourages the Cowgirls for the upcoming match against OU.
Tomorrow at training, we'll have a lot of energy. It'll be very upbeat. We're going to work on some things that we need to do better, but it'll be done in a context that's very positive because, I sit here and believe we're going to beat OU on Monday. I know it won't be easy, but I'm full of belief in this team, and I think they could win that game, and I think we can go to Round Rock and win the Big 12 tournament. But it's probably more important that they believe it, and we'll make sure that we're driving that message home for them.
Coming off a loss will be hard for the Cowgirls, but midfielder Cheyenne McClellan says that's when the team all needs to come together.
Yeah, I mean, it's really upsetting losing, It's not easy, but that's where we have to all come together. Bedlam's always a huge game. There's a big crowd. We're all amped up for it. I don't think we would be any less amped up for a different team that we are playing. We need to win every game we can, so.
The Cowgirls' next game will be Bedlam versus OU and will be held here in Stillwater October 23rd, Monday at 7 p.m. For the Poke Report, I'm Kendall McGee.
Thank you, Kendall. Hopefully the Cowgirls can bounce back going into the Big 12 tournament.
Don't go anywhere. We have more stories coming up, including more Cowgirl soccer, tennis, and even some eSports. All that and more coming up. Stay tuned.
Where were you born? It's a question asked all the time. Because where you're from shapes who you are, inspires how you do things. And when that inspiration comes from a place this refreshing, this majestic, well, you get the idea. Coors Light, born in the Rockies.
At ASAP Energy, our goal is to provide the best customer service for whatever our clients need.
My relationship with ASAP Energy came about in 2007. I was wanting to build a convenience store. I didn't know how to do it. I'd never been in the business. I just felt comfortable with Rick. And so I knew that I wanted to do business with a guy like that. Integrity, loyalty, and family. I would recommend that to anybody. Thanks for taking a chance on me.
At ASAP Energy, everything matters.
Welcome back to the Poke Report. Right here in Stillwater is the perfect place to be. Personally, I couldn't imagine spending my college career anywhere else.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. I can't imagine not bleeding orange every day and representing the Pokes, but transferring can be hard, and especially finding a new place and getting a new groove. Grace Gordon is one of those players that has had a high impact on this Cowgirl soccer team after she's transferred in. Nathan Schell has this story.
There's a bunch of senior starters on the Oklahoma State Cowgirl soccer roster, but only one is the Pokes' last line of defense. Senior goalkeeper Grace Gordon has started 17 of the 18 Cowgirl soccer games and has played more minutes than anyone on the roster. After spending 3 seasons at Seton Hall, Gordon decided to take her talents to Stillwater. So far, she only has positive things to say about OSU.
I experienced college soccer for 4 years and never got anything like this. You get to play on a professional level field. You get to have fans like no other. The facility, stadium, the treatment, it's always top notch.
She's already recorded 10 wins for OSU in her first year for the program. She's made 55 saves in all different sorts of ways for her team.
Whether it's a ground ball to the feet, a laser to the eyes, or a skyrocket to the moon, Grace Gordon has been a vital piece to the OSU Cowgirl roster. She has 9 clean sheets and looks to add some more as the season comes to a close.
Although the Cowgirls have dropped their past 5 games, Gordon allowed only 1 goal in 4 of them. She used an analogy to describe her optimism for this team moving forward.
I kind of like to look at it, relating it to the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, they'll go into playoffs playing the wild card spot, hoping to get in and end up in the World Series. I'm completely fine if that's our outcome because it's about how you finish. It's not about how you start.
Gordon has a chance to help the Cowgirls close out the regular season in the win column against OU. She's never experienced Bedlam, but she's heard the stories.
But I've seen the videos and the pictures, so I know it's going to be a huge game, and it's the last one for a little bit, at least. I know that with them moving.
It might be her 4th full year as a keeper in college, but Gordon still has 1 more year of eligibility due to COVID-19. Coach Carmichael says that the decision on whether she will be back is twofold.
We've done this now for 3 groups, I think, and it's just been an individual decision and a collaboration between the student athlete and the coaches.
For now, Gordon and the Pokes will head to Round Rock after Bedlam for the Big 12 tournament. For the Poke Report, I'm Nathan Schell.
Thanks, Nathan. I'm glad that Gordon is adjusting well in her time in Stillwater.
The Cowgirls have one match left against its bitter rival, Oklahoma. The Pokes host the Sooners Monday night at 7 for one more Bedlam match before OU moves to the SEC. OU is going into this game with a 7-8-2 record, while OSU enters with a record of 11-7. The Cowgirls will look to end a 5-game losing streak in season play, while also continuing their 7-game win streak versus the Sooners. Their dominance doesn't end there. They hold a 31-9 record against OU. Hopefully the Cowgirls can finish off the regular season with a rivalry dub over OU.
And let's move from one field to a different kind of arena. The new eSports arena in the Student Union is state-of-the-art for its kind. Isaac Wobble has more insight on it.
The Gamers of OSU, often called GOSU, boast a variety of opportunities for students. Some of those include themed game nights, free tournaments, and holiday events. To welcome students back to campus in August, the club hosted a League of Legends event with in-house production. Days and weeks of planning and setup are required for club events to go smoothly, and Cole Hudson is no stranger to the process. Hudson is the outreach official for GOSU, and he says that the club and its participation are on the upswing.
Like, I love whenever we do tournaments and people who don't even normally play that game show up, or people who are like, I want to come cast that. Like, it feels like we're kind of hitting that point where people start like asking to be a part of it instead of us having to go like track people down.
And if you're a gamer looking to display your skills in official competition, then look no further. The Gamers of OSU doesn't just provide an opportunity for casual fans, they also have highly competitive esports teams that play and practice right here in the arena. GOSU has more than 10 competitive teams with Overwatch, Rocket League, League of Legends, and more currently in season. 4 of those teams compete in the NACE Open Plus, which is a subdivision of the largest North America Collegiate Esports League. Other teams like Overwatch and Rocket League compete in Oklahoma or national-based esports leagues. Campbell Waxell is the coordinator for Counter-Strike, and he says that OSU esports is appealing to players because of the unique opportunities provided.
We're a big school. We're going to offer a lot more majors. We have the education side of things that is sort of helping us. So as a whole, our program is supporting more games, for one. So other schools just may not support the games that some of the more competitive players want, and that's why they would come here.
More teams such as Call of Duty are holding tryouts and recruiting players this fall for leagues in the spring. So whether you're a casual fan looking for fun events or a competitor looking to challenge the best, the Gamers of OSU has a place for everyone. For the Poke Report, I'm Isaac Womble.
Thanks, Isaac. I'll have to visit the new arena so that I can try out the facilities myself.
I agree, Tony. Now, personally, I'm not much of a gamer myself, but I'm quite intrigued to go visit this new facility and try some games.
Oh, me too. We should go together.
Sounds like a plan. And speaking of top-tier facilities, the Greenwood Tennis Center prepares to host the Cowboy Tennis ITA Regionals this weekend. Peyton Mulliken has the preview.
The tennis world is one that looks very different from your regular sports. College tennis is different in the sense that the season can be somewhat confusing. The actual NCAA season starts its first team matches in January and runs through May to the team championships. However, the NCAA lets the Intercollegiate Tennis Association run college tennis, which is currently happening here in Stillwater. Towards the end of October, the ITA holds its regional championship, which is taking place right here at Michael and Ann Greenwood Tennis Center, which gives us the upper hand with a home court advantage.
It's always nice playing home, and especially with our spring season, most of our matches being home, and NCAA is being hosted yet, so it's always nicer to play home than away.
The ITA Regional starts with a round of 182, where 65 or more players all within the central region of the United States face each other up until the final. Throughout the week, there will be open doubles and open singles, meaning that players will compete alone against another opponent, as well as with a partner against other players. The top 2 players in singles and doubles pairings will earn a bid to the ITA Fall Nationals in San Diego in November. Oklahoma State featured 9 of its 12 rostered players in the regionals draw.
Much like golf, tennis is a sport that can be played in leisure with friends, but at the collegiate level, it looks way more competitive.
Rankings in college tennis differ from your other big-time college athletics. The rankings are based on an algorithm of an accumulation of win points and loss points, accounting for win-loss record, strength of schedule, and significance of wins and losses as the season progresses. Oklahoma State has 3 players ranked in the top 125 for singles, a doubles team ranked, and Derek Pham was ranked 10th among incoming freshmen by the ITA. It's no surprise that Oklahoma State attracts top recruits with its amazing coaching and facilities.
Well, Dustin Taylor for sure. I used to train at Saddlebrook, and we had this fitness coach who, and then I'd see Dustin Taylor all over. And definitely for the coaching, facilities are amazing. So,
Oklahoma State is set to host the 2024 NCAA tournament this year in May, as well as the Big 12 championship in April. As for now, the team will focus on finishing out the ITA regionals this Sunday. For the Poke Report, I'm Peyton Mulliken.
Thanks, Peyton. I love when spring sports give us a preview in the fall. They help us get excited for the upcoming seasons.
Absolutely, and one sport that I can't wait to watch is softball. Jenna Murph has the fall ball recap.
Cowgirl softball is cruising through its fall ball season. Tuesday night's game, however, was not the smoothest sailing for the Cowgirls. Facing off against Oklahoma Baptist University, the Cowgirls would go down early, with OBU bringing 1 runner home in the second inning. The Cowgirls would then earn 1 run in both the third and the fourth innings to take back the lead from OBU. The game would finally break open for the Cowgirls in the bottom of the 10th when they tacked 4 more runs onto their lead. Cowgirls defeated OBU with a final score of 6-1. Coach Gajewski had this to say about the team's performance in the game.
We gave up 1 unearned run. Thought we pitched extremely well. The defense after the first inning was really good. Offensively, we got to get better.
Although the Cowgirls did not have the best offensive night, 2 Cowgirl pitchers had more than 5 strikeouts, including the starter Ivy Rosenberry. Rosenberry says that the team needs to make the most of its opportunities and to keep building confidence to be ready for the long haul come springtime.
It's only going to help us feel more confident in the spring because we will need everyone. That is the truth until if we want to get to June, make it to the second week of June, we have to have everyone.
After tonight's game, Cowgirl softball is almost wrapped on their fall ball season. They only have 2 games remaining. And tonight, most of the Cowgirl team did see the field. And it'll be really interesting to see what Coach Gajewski does come springtime. And don't worry, there are still plenty of things that Cowgirl fans have to be excited about, not only for this team, but the future of the program.
Last winter, Oklahoma State University unveiled its new athletic vision plan, which included a new stadium for softball. Longtime Cowgirl fan and mom of pitcher Ivy Rosenberry says that the new stadium isn't just good news for the program, but for the sport as a whole.
I think the girls deserve it because they worked very hard the last few years. If you were here at regionals and super regionals, it was sold out, so it'll be nice to give them a new facility to sell out again.
This state-of-the-art facility is set to be built where Allie P. Reynolds Stadium currently stands, and it will also have a larger crowd capacity. There is no current timetable for when this project will start. For the Poke Report, I'm Jenna Murph.
Thanks, Jenna. I'm so excited to see what this historic team does this season.
Speaking of making history, Ollie Gordon shattered records on Saturday. Ivan White has more when we come back.
Where were you born? It's a question asked all the time. Because where you're from shapes who you are, inspires how you do things. And when that inspiration comes from a place this refreshing, this majestic, well, you get the idea. Coors Light, born in the Rockies.
At ASAP Energy, our goal is to provide the best customer service for whatever our clients need.
My relationship with ASAP Energy came about in 2007. I was wanting to build a convenience store. I didn't know how to do it. I had never been in the business. I just felt comfortable with Rick. And so I knew that I wanted to do business with a guy like that. Integrity, loyalty, and family. I would recommend that to anybody. Thanks for taking a chance on me.
At ASAP Energy, everything matters.
Welcome back to the Poke Report. Ollie Gordon was named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week after he ran and received for over 100 yards. Ivan White has more on that story.
Oklahoma State's season is rounding a corner after moving to 4-2 with a win against Kansas. Much of that can be attributed to the recent play of the Cowboys offense, specifically Ollie Gordon. Gordon's talent has been unquestioned since he stepped on the field last season, and it culminated in his big day against the Jayhawks. He became the first player in more than 3 decades to go for at least 100 yards rushing and receiving. But his season has been far from perfect. After getting minimal touches in the Cowboys' non-conference schedule, something had to give.
Yeah, with more carries, I feel like I can analyze the defense more while I'm on the field and then see what they're doing. So when we call them different play, and then I can see how they're playing, and then boom, just keep going off that.
Although it didn't end in a win for OSU, Gordon and the team clearly turned a corner in Ames. Against Iowa State, Gordon got 18 carries, including a huge 71-yard run in the first quarter. After a bye week, Gordon helped the Cowboys upset Kansas State in the blackout game. Gordon ran for 136 yards and punched in OSU's first touchdown of the night. After his recent performances, Gordon may be the key for OSU to keep its momentum going for the rest of the season.
Early in the year he wasn't getting the carries that he wanted, and we weren't run blocking very well for him at that time. And instead of backing off and being selfish, he went the other direction. He continued to help lead our team. He worked really hard in practice and, let us know, if you give me the ball, I'll take advantage of it.
For the Poke Report, I'm Ivan White.
Thanks, Ivan. Gordon really helped the Cowboys with that win this past Saturday.
Indeed, he did. And the Big 12 is shaping up to be a really exciting conference as we enter the second half of this season. Meanwhile, our Big 12 expert, Chase Horsley, has more. He's joining us right now.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Hey, doing well. And, college football, Big 12, a lot of fun things going on. But since we're getting close to the end of the season, let's take a look at some of the top passers in the Big 12 right now. We're going to start off at number 5 with Kendon Slovis from BYU, has thrown for 1,300 yards, 4 interceptions, and 10 touchdowns so far this season. Then at number 4 is Chandler Morris from TCU, 1,500 yards, 5 interceptions, and 12 touchdowns. Then at third is Donovan Smith with Houston, who's thrown 1,600 yards, 3 interceptions, and 13 touchdowns. And for Donovan to be able to do what he's able to do with a Houston team that struggled is very impressive. Then in second with the Texas team that looks really good. Only loss was to OU so far, to Quinn Ewers, 1,700 yards, 3 interceptions, and 11 touchdowns. And speaking of the Sooners, Dillon Gabriel is the top passer in the Big 12 with 1,800 yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 16 touchdowns. Now let's jump into the Big 12 standings. Right at number 1 are the Sooners, 6-0, 3-0 in conference play. Then following back is a team that Oklahoma State fell to in Ames is Iowa State, 3-1 in conference, 4-3 overall so far. Then it's third as Texas, 2-1, 5-1 overall. Then Oklahoma State, after their big win against K-State and Kansas these past 2 weeks, they have moved up all the way to the top 5 of the Big 12, sitting at number 4, 2-1. 4-2 in the conference, and all the way down at the bottom are 2 Big 12 incomers. UCF and Cincinnati have not won a conference game this season yet.
Wow, pretty remarkable. And that being said, let's dive into our favorite segment of each week, our picks. Let's start in the Big 12 with Texas facing Houston. Chase, who's your pick?
Man, I've got Texas winning this one. Houston, yes, they pulled off a big game against West Virginia, but it's not happening. Texas is winning. Quinn Ewers, again, stats don't lie.
I'm in agreement there. I'm going to take Texas on this one.
This one's pretty easy, I think. Texas is by far the better team. Houston had a great win last week, but they're not built to compete with Texas. Coming off a devastating loss to OU, they've had a week of rest. They'll rebound with a win nicely over Houston. Next in the Big 12, going over to Norman, where UCF meets the Sooners. Chase?
Guys, I really want to call an upset here. I really do. But the Sooners defense has proven a lot after that Red River rivalry game. They had the week off as well, too, coming back into play now. I think the Sooners are going to get the job done. Dillon Gabriel's doing really well, and the Sooners are just meshing everything together and could be a playoff team.
Absolutely. I wanted to pick the upset, too, and I'm kind of hoping for it, so I'll be okay with being wrong, but I'll take the Sooners on this one with Dillon Gabriel and the way he's playing right now.
It looks like we're all in agreement again. I got to go with OU. They're the best team in the Big 12 right now for good reason. They're just too much for UCF. Give me the Sooners at home. Moving south now to Tallahassee, Florida. Number 16 Duke meets number 4 Florida State. Chase, who are you picking?
Guys, I'm going to give you a little history lesson real fast. Florida State has not lost to Duke since 1992. They're 19-0 against the Blue Devils, and it's not going to change. Jordan Travis is an excellent quarterback. There's a reason why Florida State is ranked in the top 4 right now. And Riley Green, he did great. He got some good wins. It's just not going to happen this time. No upset this week. Florida State's going to take it.
I'm going to take the Seminoles as well.
Florida State is 100% a playoff contender. We've known that since the start of the season. They get the job done at home pretty easily. I got to go Florida State. Lastly, returning to the Big 12, we have our very own OSU Cowboys taking on West Virginia in Morgantown. Chase, who are you picking?
Guys, I'm going to tell you this. Ollie Gordon is going off as, what Ivan White had in his package earlier. And that's what the Cowboys needed. Another Jalen Warren type of runner. And I think the Cowboys are going to pull it off. And another big history lesson, the Cowboys haven't lost to Morgantown since 2013. That was the last time they lost. I've got the Cowboys winning, still in a close one. I'm going to go 35-28, a high scoring, but also stays very close.
I'm going to go with 24-31, Cowboys on top, and I just agree. Ollie Gordon's been playing great, and I think the defense has a lot more to give that we haven't seen yet, but I think after the last game, they'll make some adjustments and be able to step up as well.
Not only has Ollie Gordon been playing lights out, Alan Bowman's found his groove too. This team is starting to come together. They're gelling well with each other. I think OSU's defense makes enough big plays in a win. Give me 27-23 Cowboys. Well, that's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you as always for tuning in. For the Poke Report, I'm Griff McClellan.
I'm Toni Wetmore.
We'll see you next week.